Hi YouTube. So I wanted to show you guys how I took my kitchen from this to this. I've been wanting to change my kitchen for so long, the kitchen colors, and just bring it up to date. And just been watching YouTubers use Dixie Belle paint, which is the best thing that ever happened to me. I use Dixie Belle Silk All-in-One Mineral Paint and Dixie Belle Best Dang Wax, also Gator Hide to complete this project. I started out with the liquid sandpaper I got from my local Lowe's, and went over my cabinets with that, scrubbing with a I forgot what you call those kind of sponges, but they like the really, really rough sponges or whatever, and just went over the surface with that to get off any dirt, debris, and it also gently sands off the gloss on your cabinets. You'll see in a few minutes when I go back through with the second coat, like how it looks. It leaves like this film. So as you can see, it leaves like a white film. Well, what looks like a white film, but it's actually just drying them out. I did it on the front and the back of the cabinet because I put one layer of paint on the back of my cabinets, the top, and pretty much just anywhere I was going to apply paint. Next, I used Dixie Belle White Lightning Cleaner after I went over the cabinets twice with the liquid sandpaper. So I cleaned it off all together with water. I cleaned off all my cabinets with water before I used the White Lightning Cleaner. So I got them all clean first, and then I went back through with the White Lightning Cleaner. White Lightning Cleaner does the same thing. It pretty much just cleans off all your cabinets, gets off all the dirt, debris, grease, all of that buildup off your cabinets. Make sure you get everywhere you're gonna paint. All right, I took a little bit, as you can see, a little bit of Dixie Belle paint. Again, I used the color Wharf, sprayed it with water, as you can see, and then I used the recommended brush from Dixie Belle to complete this project. You can use a cabinet paint brush. It doesn't matter, but just as long as you use what's specifically used to paint cabinets. Do not use any other kind of brush, any other brush to do this. And yeah, I got real southern. Any other kind of brush. Do not use any other brush to do this, or you will get streaks and lines, and we don't want that. But this paint is amazing. You see, I have not had to redip the brush yet. I am still working with that first dip, and it spreads so nicely. That one can that you see there, or one jar that you see there, did all of my cabinets. So I'm going over making sure that I get everywhere, the creases, the tops of the doors, and I painted the doors, like the front of the doors and also the sides and edges first before doing any of the inside molding or inside of the doors. So once again, you see that I'm making sure that I get the sides of the doors and all around the outside edges before my second coat. And here I am applying my second coat. As I went through, I wet my brush. I just started spraying the water on the brush instead of spraying the water in the paint. You can do it either way. It works either way. But I think I moved faster when I did it this way. And I also, again, use less paint. To me, I use less paint when I dipped it and sprayed it. So here I am going through with a second coat of paint, making sure I get all of the edges and all of the creases really well, so that I have a nice even coat or even finish. And I did get some on my appliances, but cabinet paint or the Dixie Belle paint is really, really, really easy to get up because it just like you can just scrape it up with your fingers and it comes right off of like your floor. And so, well, latex paint pretty much is real easy to get up. So as you can see here, I started spraying the water on the actual doors instead of on my brush. But like I said, either way, just as long as you're using water, because it helps it spread better. The paint is kind of thick, and water will be your best friend. So I either sprayed it on the brush or the cabinets. And I believe that this is my third and final coat of paint, besides places that I saw, like, some places where I felt like the paint was a little thin. I would go back over that part, but I only used 3 coats of paint. And look how beautiful it's turning out. And I forgot to mention before, make sure that you go along with the grain of your cabinets. Do not go, from the brush from side to side, or whatever direction you paint in. Make sure you stay painting in that direction. So once I let that dry on the cabinet doors, that's when I started doing the inside molding. That's what I'm calling it. It may be something else, but whatever. I started doing it, applying paint to the inside molding. I did not remove anything from the inside of the cabinets. I just kind of pushed everything back. No paint got on anything in the inside of my cabinets. It's not, to me, it just wasn't that serious. And you guys just make sure that you hit every spot in the inside of your cabinets, or especially the parts that's going to be seen. I did paint the inside of my cabinet doors. I did go over the hardware. Like I said, I just wasn't doing all that. It wasn't that serious to me. But I only did 1 coat of paint on the inside of my cabinet doors. I do have an extra jar left, and maybe one day I'll go over it again, but it wasn't that serious again. So here I am taking the Best Dang Wax from Dixie Belle in the color, I just know it's a brown. I cannot remember, but I will list that in the details below on what color I use. But I just took my finger and I rubbed it on the grooves of the cabinet, or wherever there were creases, and I just rubbed it really gently. I didn't put it everywhere, but just where I just applied it, gently over the places that I wanted it to go for whatever effect that I was looking for. So now I am taking a small roller and I'm using the Dixie Belle Gator Hide. I did dilute it with water when I poured it into my roller pan, and I did dilute it with water. That's the only way you're going to get through this, because that again is very thick too. But I applied it with my roller, and you'll see in a few minutes that I did go over it with a brush just to get those creases, to make sure that it goes in there. But the Gator Hide protects your paint, and it also gives a nice sheen, a nice satin finish, where it looks like basically factory made cabinets, or factory paint job. Also, the Dixie Belle doesn't take long to dry. The actual paint itself, not the Gator Hide, but the actual paint itself, it does not take long to dry. By the time I finish you know, another set, one set of cabinets, the other set was dry, so I would go back and forth. You know, it took me probably all of a week to finish painting, and then at the end of the week, that's when I went through with my gator hide. Here I am putting on my hardware, or marking off where I wanted my hardware. The hardware kit I got was from Amazon, and I will list it below. I got black knobs or black handles, you'll see in a few minutes, and it also comes with this little marker where you can mark off where to drill your holes for your knobs. It also comes with a drill bit as well. So I just took a Sharpie pen and marked that off, and then went back in and darkened it up so that I could see it and make sure that I got the right spot. Because once you drill a hole, I would imagine like that's pretty much it. And before I put my hardware on, I waited about 2 weeks. So about 14-15 days before I put my hardware on my cabinets. Well, really, I'm lying. It took me about a month. It was after Christmas. I did this before Christmas, and it was after Christmas by the time I put my hardware on. Because for one thing, I couldn't find my drill, so I borrowed this one. It's a whole 2 hours or over, you guys. But anyway, as you can see, I'm taking the borrowed drill. The bit is mine because it came in my kit. But I'm taking my borrowed drill and I'm drilling the holes. It didn't make too much of a mess, so there was no sawdust in the inside of my cabinets or anything like that. Everything pretty much went on the floor. And you can't really see, I used a poor example, but I just applied the cabinet hardware and the screws. It came with 2 different size screws, one that's specifically made for doors, and then one that's in screws that are slightly longer for your actual drawers. And I put them in with a screwdriver, but I went back in and tightened them with the drill. But like I said, it came out so beautifully. And as a matter of fact, I actually went and bought some extra things for my kitchen. I also got a kitchen island that wasn't there before, as you can see in the picture. I'm not sure if you see that lampshade. That's another trick I did. I'll show you that in another video, how I did that. But everything turned out so nice. And you see my Mrs. Myers stuff, and this is like before I placed everything on the counters. That was a big mistake. Oops, my bad. But anyway, but you get the point. Aren't these so beautiful? I am so proud of super proud of myself. It's so beautiful. Thank you, guys.